What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing here, back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we are here with the updated post-launch tier list for Duet and Abyss. I'm going to be going over the changes that I'm going to be making to my pre-launch tier list that I did. Again, this was all with CBT2 information, guys. So a lot of things that, I kind of went over in that tier list weren't 100% correct. And so in today's video, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going over some of the things that I think are going to be changed and going to be put either up or down in the tier list. And yeah, this is going to be pretty much just kind of fixing all the problems that people had with my last tier list on this. And yeah, I'm going to be explaining exactly my reasonings for each, and I'm going to show you guys in game each of the characters that we're actually going to be moving on the tier list and for what reasons. If you guys do enjoy videos like this, definitely make sure to hit that like button and sub. And again, guys, I definitely do appreciate the support. We recently hit that 3K on the channel, and we're on the road now to that 4K. So with that out of the way, man, let's hop in and let's talk about it. So the first things first is I actually want to talk about Lisbell. So I'm actually going to open the game here for Duet and Abyss. And yeah, if we go on Lisbell right now, she, in my opinion, is a insane character. I didn't get to actually rank her on the tier list the last time I was actually doing it because we didn't have any kit information for the character at the time, as she was in the NDA beta that was like right before the game launched. So Lisbell, in my opinion, guys, is one of the best DPS characters in the game. Really strong. She has a skill here that's going to lunge forward, dealing Lumino AoE damage 3 times along the path, and then she slams to deal more Lumino, AoE damage right there. Now for her skill, she's going to switch to her melee weapon, Samil, and deal Lumino damage to enemies, ahead of the enemy or ahead of you. And then while wielding Samil, use the skill to be used again to withdraw, and normal attacks with Samil chain up to 4 hits. While wielding Samil, hold attack to charge, sanity is consumed over time while charging, and gains impatience, generating combo points every 0.5 seconds. Now releasing the attack, reaching max combo level, or running out of sanity, unleashes a powerful charge attack, dealing Lumino AoE damage to enemies ahead. And then impatience is going to grant immunity to hit stun and reduces damage taken. So yeah, I mean, that effect right there, really strong. And in game, guys, it's felt like this character is really good when you are taking damage. Even when you're doing the charge attack, you're able to just do a ton of output, and it's really strong in my opinion. Now, moving on to the passives here, when combo level increases, deals Lumino damage to nearby enemies and enhances Samil. At combos C, B, A, and S, Samil is going to gain enhancement of level 1 to 4 respectively. If combo level drops, the current enhancement level persists for a short time, and whilst the mail is enhanced, the user's constance weapon gains increased attack range and trigger probability on that enhancement level. Now, in terms of the other passives right here, unleashing Samil's charge attack at combo level S extends the impatience duration, and then she increases her self attack and Lumino allies attack as well. So yeah, guys, in terms of Lisbell herself, she, in my opinion, is one of the best DPSs in the game. So going back to the tier list here, in terms of where I'm actually going to place her now that I've gotten the chance to use her, in my opinion, she is going to be going in the S tier. Now, I'm also going to remove Ushu from the tier list because, again, she was not actually a launch character, and so I am going to have her here for when she comes in 1.1. But in terms of everything else now that I would start to change, let's talk about the first character here, which is Daphne, or Truffle and Filbert, and then talking about how Daphne kind of fares in comparison. So going over to the game again, Truffle and Filbert, guys, in my opinion, is way better than Daphne from the actual game's release. Now in the CBT, I actually had a feeling that Daphne would be a little bit better, but from my use and testing with Truffle and Filbert, this character is just way better, right? Like the damage bonus you get. So if you actually look here on the attribute details, it says right here in the middle, but pretty much every time you throw Filbert at the enemies, you're going to heal Truffle and allies and increase their damage dealt. Now you can see here the healing is going to obviously scale from max HP, and then you have your damage boost, which right now at level 6 is 61%. Now that is a crazy boost, and then obviously the duration can definitely increase as well, but that is the main thing of Truffle and Filbert that is very good. Now another thing that can be very good as well is the resolve boost that you get if you allies 2 or more on the team share the same elements. So if you're running like the Mono and Nemo team, which that's also who you would be rocking on the team with, like with Daphne and Truffle and Filbert for like a DPS like Psyche, this is going to be absolutely insane because for what you guys don't know, resolve is pretty much the less your HP, the more damage you do. And the way Psyche works is that she drains your HP, so you're getting a bunch of extra damage, right? Like that's going to be pretty nice. Now, in terms of the actual rest of the kit, guys, I feel like I don't have to go over it too much. You guys know from when I did my original tier list how it pretty much goes, but her ultimate lets her actually change into the form where she's able to run. And yeah, you're going to get obviously the passion of work points, and then her passives here are going to give her damage dealt, damage reduction, and she has a chance to drop the ammo supply chest. Now, again, Truffle and Filbert, in my opinion, guys, because of that, is going to be moved to the S tier, and I actually do see her value as being very, very strong in the game. That damage buff is just something that I feel like you pretty much need on all teams, and it is just universal. It's just straight up damage percent bonus buffing anything that you do, whether it's a ranged weapon attack, a regular, a melee attack, a constance weapon, the abilities of actual characters, they're all being buffed. Now, going over to Daphne, though, Daphne is still a very good character, but the things that I've found about this character that actually lower her overall effectiveness is that in the actual combat AI effect right here with the where you get crit chance, this is not a flat percent boost. Now, for you guys that don't know how this works, if it was a flat percent boost, the base weapon would get the straight up 40% crit chance added on to what it was. If you look at a weapon, like let's say you have a weapon at 20% crit chance, if this weapon or if this effect right here actually gave 40% flat crit chance bonus or like an additive effect of it, you'd be at a 60% chance to crit at base, and then your demon wedges would multiply that from there. But that is not the case, guys. This 40% crit chance boost is multiplicative and is pretty much done on your base crit chance. So if you were to have, like, again, 20% as the example, and because this is a multiplicative effect, it's going to take 40% of your base crit chance, which is 20, and it's going to calculate it in that way. So it would be 40% of 20 is going to be about what, like 8, right? You're getting 8 extra crit chance on top of that, right? So yeah, again, it's not anything super crazy at the end of the day, right? So you're getting an extra 8% crit chance to a weapon that had base 20%. Not that crazy. So this effect right here, in my opinion, is not going to be as insane as like an attack buff or a damage percent buff or a skill damage buff, a weapon damage buff. I think those would be a little bit better than this crit chance effect. But again, crit chance is still good if you have high base crit chance to where it is going to be good with more multiplicative stats. Now, other than that, though, Daphne still provides a good amount of support. She is giving you a Nemo damage dealt. It says gains bonus Nemo damage, but what it actually should say is that you deal Nemo damage when you're attacking enemies. That's what it should be, additional damage dealt. That's what they should be wording it as here, because my initial assumption of this was that it's just raw Nemo damage. And the CBT2 tier list that I did when I actually ranked Daphne, she had gained bonus attack in this spot, which I thought was really good because you had the attack and then you had the crit chance. So you had 2 ways of buffing while giving your team really good healing. But they have now changed that to a Nemo damage, and that does not drop Daphne out of the tier list in my opinion. I still have her at the point where she's going to be in the S tier, and I think she is going to be a very good sustain in the game. Again, she is still providing the Nemo damage dealt. Yeah, remember, it is the actual damage itself. You're getting that as extra damage versus you just, getting only buffing Nemo characters. You still at least get Nemo damage dealt as additional damage. So Daphne right there I think is really good, but I think Truffle and Filbert, in my opinion, right now in the game is the best support character in the game. Truffle and Filbert is going to be a lot better than Daphne, and I think right now is going to be just an insane character. Now, other characters that I do want to kind of move around on the list, guys, Psyche, Lady Nephil are going to stay in the S tier. I think are really good. Lynn right now I will keep in the A tier. I'm going to keep Hellfire in the A tier. I am going to keep Fantasio, Berenica. Tabethe, I'm actually going to move to the S tier. Now, let's talk about why I'm actually moving Tabethe to the S tier. The reason why, and I'm going to explain it here. Again, I haven't actually gotten to use Tabethe myself, but the effect that she has in her kit, it's insanely strong. If we go to the buff effect right here, increases damage dealt for the tentacles, but also grants self and allies a boost to skill damage. Now, this skill damage boost at the level 1 effect is 16% skill damage boost. Right? That's crazy. Now, the next thing that's really important is her combat AI effect, which gives you skill damage for self and allies. So when you're using this character, you are giving your allies 8% at base for the, combat AI support, while providing a skill damage boost that scales. So the higher the level of this buff, the more that's going to be as an actual boost, which is crazy, right? So you're actually getting a bunch of skill damage. And a lot of characters in this game, think of Rebecca, think of Lynn, think of literally any character that deals damage from their skills is going to take the boost from this. Literally every character, actually. Those examples I gave are just like the ones off the top of my head. But she literally buffs all those characters. And then not to mention, the tentacles themselves are able to immobilize enemies and deal hydro damage to them, capturing up to 2 per tentacle, where you're able to get up to 18 total tentacles at once. Now, that is insanely strong in my opinion, guys, and because of all of that right there, Tabethe is going to be able to have crazy crowd control while still being able to support your team. So in my opinion right there, she actually does go into the S tier fairly easily right there. Like that right there is just an insane effect. And the fact that she has all that in her kit gets her to that tier in my opinion. So again, even though in like boss cooking content, she's not going to be as crazy, she's still going to be very good for her supportive ability and what she's able to provide. Now, the next character that will move up will be Rebecca. Now, a lot of people were very mad on my last tier list about how I actually placed Rebecca. Now, you guys have to understand that that was again based off of CBT2 and CBT1 information, and also the fact that we didn't really know we were going to be getting Rebecca off the rip in the game. Like, Sanctuary is very early on that you get this character. Now, with that being said, Rebecca, I actually did underrate her fairly much. I think she is a really good character in general, but what holds her back, and even other characters that I have in the A tier right now, so let's go back to the A tier. The reason that, in my opinion, she's not going to be in the S tier levels of DPS is because she is a character right now in the game that only is good in AoE content. If you are facing a boss with Rebecca, you're not going to be dealing a ton of damage, guys. Like, just straight up, she is not a character that is like made to deal with bosses. She's more so made to deal with AoE centric content. Now, later on in the immersive theater stuff, you're going to only really see, you know, characters that have very, very strong single target damage while having good AoE in the kit built in as well. You kind of need to have both, right, in that sense. So that is why I have Lisbell, Lady Nephil, and Psyche in that top tier, because right now in the game, these are the three just general best DPSs disregarding type. Disregarding type right now, I think these three DPSs are the best in the game. Lisbell just has really good AoE and single target, same with Lady Nephil, and then Psyche is the best single target DPS in the game, right? So that's just how it is right now in my opinion, and how I'd go about ranking them in that. And that's why I will give the benefit of the doubt for Rebecca. Like, again, everyone was really mad at me that I had her in the B tier, but the thing is with that is that now in the game she is very good for farming, but boss content she really struggles. And again, all these other characters in the A tier have issues with that. So Hellfire, again, very AoE oriented, but she's very good at AoE. She does also have Tom, which again I value very highly, but right now in the game you're not really in a position where you really need that. And then, yeah, you have Fantasio here, which he is really good too, but he is melee oriented. Berenica right here as well is also, you know, even though she does have the range effect in her slashes, it's not going to be, you know, that much better than a character like Lynn, let's say. And so, yeah, I think right now, this is pretty much where I would have, you know, the A tier and the S tier right now. Now, I do have to adjust one more thing in the tier list, which is Margie. And I'm not going to, I think what I'm going to do for Margie is she's in kind of a tough place for me where I would like to put her in the S tier, but as a general unit, other than her support, she isn't that crazy. It's just for her support. Let's actually talk about Margie real quick. So if I zoom out here, Margie is giving a 85% total attack buff, guys. That is attack right here from the Margie pep song, 45%. You are also getting another 40% from the combat partner skill. Now, with that being said, Margie herself from her base kit is not really that insane. She honestly knocks enemies back, and that kind of is a little bit annoying when doing like farming content. So honestly, she really isn't like that insane for things like that, but her damage buff, in my opinion, at least gives her the value to where I would actually put her in that A tier. So right now, I am going to be giving Margie that A tier slot. Again, very good for bossing content and just dealing damage in general. And if you need to buff a attack scaling DPS, she's going to be a character that you can combo with someone like Truffle and Filbert to deal a lot. And, you know, if Margie had some other type of support in her kit, I think she would be so much better, in my opinion, in this game. But right now, I feel like that's what's kind of holding her back a little bit. And it really is just the fact that you only have the attack percent that you're getting, and that's literally it. Like, everything else that she's doing is not really as crazy, and the AoE damage she does is not going to be as good as, like, you know, Tabethe here, which is going to be way better crowd control, or even a character like Truffle and Filbert and Daphne that are giving you, you know, the bonus effects there of, you know, the damage dealt, and then you are getting the anemo damage, and then while having the sustain with the heal, all of that is really good in my opinion. Now, the last thing to mention as well, guys, is going to be the main character. Now, I actually didn't go over the main character in the original tier list because I actually didn't know what the kit of the main character was. But for where I'm actually going to be ranking the main character, I'm actually going to be giving them the A tier, guys. The main character in Duet and Abyss is actually a very strong character because of the fact that they are able to give not only a buff to weapon damage specifically, but also a sustain effect. So if you actually look at the effect here, deals lumino damage to nearby enemies and grants self and allies both ultra shield and incandescence. Now incandescence is going to increase weapon damage percent, and you can see here the weapon boost at the level 6 is 35%, which is really good. For any character that is using a weapon, this does actually buff consonance weapon damage, by the way, but this pretty much counts for ranged melee and consonance weapon damage. So this is going to be buffing characters like Lynn, characters like Berenica, characters like Psyche, right? Because she obviously also has a consonance weapon as well. So that's how you're able to buff those types of characters, is through weapon damage with a character like, the MC. Now also, the MC is also giving weapon damage from for self and allies in the combat AI support, which is only about 8%, but it's still very good. You are getting that extra, damage increase. Now also, using Flare grants trigger probability self for increase for self and allies as well. So if you do want to boost your allies trigger probability, then this is another way to do it. So the MC actually has very strong supportive effects, and in my opinion is actually really good in the game, to where you're able to run the the main character on pretty much any team, as long as it's not a team where you're running a character like Rebecca, because Rebecca is not going to benefit from the weapon damage boost unless you're shooting an actual gun with Rebecca for the most part. So in general, I actually will rate this character pretty highly. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually give her the S tier, because if you're really thinking about it, you're getting sustain with the ultra shield while also being able to get the weapon damage percent buff and the trigger probability for allies. That is all very good things. So with that being said, guys, I think I will give the MC actually S tier in the game. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now, guys, in terms of the tier list. Randy, Outsider, Rhythm, Yale, and Oliver, and Lisbell, at least from what I've heard, are not really that crazy of characters in the game. Outsider still, again, can be very good. I know Rhythm, I've heard, is actually fairly strong as well, and then even Lisbell. But these are things that are going to come with time as I've tested out more characters and, understood other character kits and stuff to be able to really evaluate them a lot better. But again, right now, just from what I'm hearing and what people have said, Lisbell is a little bit, underpowered right now. Yale and Oliver hasn't really gotten much use right now in the game because he is from a weekly boss. Same with Rhythm. Outsider, again, not really an active character you're going to be using. Once you get Psyche, you're not even going to really touch this character if you are trying to go for that anemo damage. And then Randy here is only really a co-op kind of, supportive character in my opinion. Like, you're really not going to get much value out of this character in other content. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much the tier list as of the version 1.0 post-launch tier list. Again, Fina right now is the best character in the game. She's not out yet, but when she is in the game, in my opinion, the best character in the game. She's giving a bunch of stuff. We can actually talk about Fina from in-game now, but Fina is really good. The only thing that they actually changed in her kit was the actual passive effect right here, and the way that it actually boosts your stats now. So right here on the to be continued part, it used to actually give crit chance and it stacked up to 100%. Now they actually changed that to damage dealt, just straight up damage dealt for the team. And it depends on the amount of Tailweaver Quill stacks that you actually have. So yeah, again, for you guys that don't know what she did, she actually had cycling damage buffs. So she goes from Hydro, Pyro, Electro, and Anemo. And all of those effects right there were able to deal just a ton of damage. You have, boosting of the Hydro, you have boosting of Pyro, Electro, and Anemo. And even if you're not those types, you get those boosts. That's why this character is, in my opinion, is so insane. Again, she's not actually available in the game yet as of the time I'm recording this video, but just based on CBT, testing with the character and now actually seeing the kit in the game, I see no reason why she would not be in that top echelon of characters, because you're getting not only, the additional damage percent buff, but this covers all your things. You're also getting the Tailweaver Quill stacks, which, if we actually read it here, grants bonus lumino damage that lasts throughout the battle each time on the warm afternoon is used, grants 6 stacks of Tailweaver Quill, while Boisterous Tea is active, grant 1 stack of Tailweaver Quill per second, and that's going to be dealing lumino damage. So you're dealing lumino damage, you're dealing Hydro, Pyro, Electro, and Anemo damage, so that is 5 different damage types, and she's giving that to the allies as well. Look in the ultimate, if we actually read at the very bottom. Fina, okay, so when the field appears or its element shifts, Fina and allies gain bonus elemental damage matching the field's type. Insane, right? So everyone gets that buff, which is why I actually have this character, in my opinion, in the SS tier as the only character there at the moment. Now, again, we talked about Fushu before the game actually released. She would be the only sanity character in the game right now, and so I probably would have her in that SS tier because she's not actually in the game right now. This is where I'm going to leave it for the version 1.0 tier list, and where I'm going to have all the characters in the game just based on, my play experience and how good I think these characters are. So that is going to be it for the video. Again, comment down below your guys' thoughts now on what I have to say, and more, pretty much, again, this is more of like a thorough explanation. Now that I've actually played tested with these characters, I know a little bit more, and so it is a little bit easier for me to be able to rank these characters on the tier list. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you feel like a character should be higher, or if you feel like a character should be lower, let me know. So that's going to be it, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.